think the universe is testing you? Every delay feels like punishment. Every closed door feels like rejection. Every struggle feels like proof you're not ready yet. But what if you've been reading it completely wrong? What if the universe has never once tested you, not even for a second? What if every single thing that's happened, the delays, the breakthroughs, the synchronicities, the silence, all of it has been one thing and one thing only? A perfect mirror, reflecting back exactly who you are being right now. The universe doesn't judge your worth, it matches your frequency. And once you understand this, once you stop waiting to pass some cosmic exam and start recognizing that you're simply being mirrored, everything shifts. This video will show you how to read reality correctly, how to stabilize the identity your future is waiting for, and why the life you want isn't testing your patience, it's just waiting for coherence.
Here's what most people believe. They think the universe pushes them, blocks them, delays their desires, or holds things back just to see if they're truly ready. They imagine some cosmic gatekeeper standing at the entrance to everything they want, deciding whether they've struggled enough, healed enough, proven themselves worthy enough to finally receive what they've been asking for. That belief creates so much tension, so much fear, so much hesitation. It builds this quiet expectation that life is supposed to be difficult before it gets beautiful. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The universe has never tested you, not once. It has only ever matched you. Every delay you've experienced, every synchronicity, every opportunity that showed up, every silence that made you question everything, every door that opened, every door that closed, none of it was a test. None of it was the universe checking to see if you were good enough yet. It was a reflection, a vibrational mirror, a perfect, unbiased resonance between what you're energetically broadcasting right now and what your reality can safely deliver in response. The universe isn't questioning your worth, it's responding to your state. And this is where most people completely misread their entire life. They treat signs as obstacles. They treat intuition as uncertainty. They treat alignment as random coincidence. They treat delays as punishment. They treat breakthroughs as lucky timing. They treat discomfort as some kind of spiritual pop quiz they have to pass. They assume they must prove something when the truth is they're simply being matched to themselves. Your reality isn't trying to judge you, it's trying to synchronize with you. But here's the twist that very few people ever actually see. You cannot interpret the universe accurately from the identity you're currently shedding. When an old identity is dissolving, when you're in that in-between space, you read everything through the lens of fear or confusion. A door closing feels like rejection instead of protection. A delay feels like failure instead of recalibration. An intuitive push feels risky instead of aligned. A shortcut feels suspicious instead of supportive. You mistrust the very guidance that's actively trying to move you forward. From that old identity, even blessings start to look like threats. And that's exactly why so many people misinterpret the most important moments of their life. The universe isn't testing them at all. They're simply reading a higher frequency signal with a lower frequency mindset. The mismatch creates distortion. The distortion creates doubt. The doubt creates hesitation. And that hesitation weakens the very frequency that reality is trying to match. This is why the transition you're in right now feels so strange. Your external world hasn't caught up yet, but your internal world is no longer the same. You're broadcasting a brand new frequency from a nervous system that's still in the process of letting go of the old one. Quantum physics actually calls this a transient interference pattern. Spiritual traditions call it the void. Mystics call it the in-between state. But energetically, it's simple. Your soul moved before your mind did. Your energy upgraded. Your identity is adjusting. Your reality is recalibrating. And this recalibration isn't a test, it's a synchronization process. Think about it like this. When your frequency rises, the universe doesn't ask, "Are you absolutely sure you're ready for this?" It asks, "Which version of you am I matching right now?" And until your new identity stabilizes completely, you're going to feel a friction that has absolutely nothing to do with failure. The friction is actually the sound of alignment forming, locking into place. This is why your emotions feel layered lately, why your thoughts feel faster than usual, why your intuition feels louder but somehow less interpretable, why the old triggers don't hit the same way anymore, yet the new path still feels blurry. You're not confused. You're transitioning between vibrational identities. The old self is still interpreting reality, but it's no longer generating it. The new self is generating reality, but it's not fully interpreting it yet. You're in the overlap between two worlds. And here's the part that changes absolutely everything once you understand it. The universe will always match the version of you who is the most coherent. Not the one who's the most hopeful, not the most desperate, not the most spiritual, not the most positive, not the hardest working. Coherence is the currency of manifestation, not effort, not worthiness, not purity, not struggle. Coherence. When your energy, your decisions, your emotions, your expectations, and your identity all broadcast the same signal without contradiction, the universe matches you instantly. That's why the people who move the fastest through life aren't the strongest, the smartest, or the most prepared. They're the ones whose internal frequency is completely free of contradiction. But when you feel out of sync with your life, when things slow down, feel uncertain, or move strangely, it's not because you're being tested. It's because your coherence is shifting, and the universe is actively retuning your timeline to match the new you. You're not stuck, you're sinking. And that sinking becomes faster, smoother, and far more magical the moment you understand the language of instinct. In the comments right now, drop one word that represents what you're stepping into. Maybe it's clarity, maybe it's trust, maybe it's flow, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's something uniquely yours. Let this word be a declaration, a signal you're sending not just into this space, but into the quantum field itself. Your word matters because you matter. Because instinct is the first messenger of alignment. You've noticed it, haven't you? The quiet impulse that shows up before you even have time to think. The pull towards something that makes absolutely no logical sense, yet feels strangely precise. The sudden knowing that completely bypasses explanation. The urge to move, choose, shift, or step forward before your mind has formed a single coherent sentence about why. That impulse isn't randomness. It's not anxiety. It's not impatience. It is your future self communicating with you through your body. Most people ignore it because they're still trained to believe that intuition competes with logic. But intuition doesn't compete. It precedes. Instinct arrives first because it comes from outside your mind. It comes from the field. It comes from the identity you're growing into, not the identity you're outgrowing. Quantum physics describes this as pre-collapsing information. It's the moment when your energy interacts with a future probability before your rational mind is even able to interpret what's happening. You feel the pull first. You understand the pull later. And if you wait for understanding before responding, the signal weakens. It becomes diluted by fear, by memory, by conditioning, by self-doubt. By the time your mind finally figures it out, the opportunity has already moved on. This is exactly why people who hesitate constantly feel like life is moving without them. They think the universe is testing their patience, but nothing is being tested. Their signal simply lost coherence. The instinct was the opening, the window of alignment, and hesitation closed it before they could step through. Your instinct is not a reaction. Your instinct is a match. It's the first moment your identity aligns with the probability that wants to become your reality. Your body recognizes the sync seconds, minutes, or even hours before your mind can explain what's happening. This is why intuitive decisions feel so fast. They're not fast, they're accurate. They bypass all the old identity filters, all the survival patterns, all the outdated predictions. Neuroscience confirms this beautifully. The somatic network, the part of your nervous system that feels truth before you can think it, activates milliseconds before conscious awareness even kicks in. Your body knows what your mind isn't ready to process yet. Instinct isn't impulsive. It's a neurological and quantum response to alignment. But here's the part nobody teaches you. Instinct arrives clean, but your conditioning contaminates it. You feel the impulse clearly. Then you second-guess it. You analyze it. You hunt for hidden meanings and signs. You ask yourself whether you're really ready. You check your past patterns for clues. You wonder how other people will react. You compare it to what feels familiar and safe. And just like that, the frequency gets scrambled. The instinct, which was a perfect match to your future, becomes interpreted by your past. You overlay old fears onto brand new signals. You try to understand a higher frequency message using a lower frequency identity, and the more you think about it, the weaker that intuitive pull becomes. This is why decisive people manifest faster, not because they're reckless, not because they're lucky, not because they're fearless, but because they don't give their old identity enough time to interfere. They move before the doubt arrives. They choose before the noise catches up. They trust the signal before their mind dilutes it. Your future touches you through instinct briefly, cleanly, clearly. And if you respond fast enough, you merge with that timeline before your old identity can pull you back into familiar patterns. And this is where spiritual alignment becomes incredibly practical. Opportunities don't show up at random. They appear when your frequency becomes compatible with them. But compatibility is temporary. It's a window. The universe doesn't test your readiness. It reveals your readiness by giving you instinctual openings. When the instinct feels sharp, clean. But when you ignore that signal, when you wait for more clarity, more validation, more guarantees, you disconnect from the matching frequency. You drift back toward the identity that hesitates, that doubts, that delays, that bargains, that predicts worst-case scenarios. Your future self moves fast. Your past self moves slow. Your instinct will always show you which one you're choosing in any given moment. So let me ask you something that only your body, not your mind, can answer. What have you been feeling pulled toward lately that you haven't acted on yet? What decision keeps whispering to you? What opportunity keeps circling back? What path keeps tapping you on the shoulder? What desire keeps resurfacing even after you try to ignore it or rationalize it away? Your instinct is telling you the door is open. Your hesitation is telling you the old identity is still talking. So here's what I want you to do. Not to perform, not as some magical spell, but as a genuine commitment to your next timeline. In the comments, share what you're committing to today. One small act that anchors you into your new life path. It could be as simple as one word, like trust, or move, or choose. Your commitment matters because everything the universe gives you next will depend on whether you continue waiting for proof or you begin responding to resonance. Now, here's what most people don't understand about all of this. Most people spend their entire lives asking for what they're not aligned with. They visualize the life they want, but they embody the emotions of the life they're trying to leave behind. They affirm abundance while feeling unsafe. They ask for love while carrying the frequency of abandonment deep in their nervous system. They call for new opportunities while holding on to the identity of someone who doubts their own worth. And then they wonder why nothing ever changes. It's because the universe does not respond to desire. It responds to identity. Desire is loud. Identity is quiet. Desire is emotional. Identity is energetic. Desire hopes for things. Identity broadcasts signals, and the universe matches the broadcast, not the hope. You cannot manifest a reality that contradicts who you believe you are at your core. You might consciously want something desperately, but if you subconsciously still identify with the version of you who survived without it, who learned to live without it, who built entire coping mechanisms around not having it, then identity always wins. Always. You experience the life that matches your deepest assumptions about yourself, even when those assumptions are outdated, inherited from others, or completely unconscious. This is why your life shifts the moment you shift internally, not when you say you want change, not when you visualize it, not when you ask for it, but when the internal architecture that defines who you are reorganizes itself completely. Quantum physics models this beautifully. Systems don't change because you force them to. They change when their internal coherence changes. When your identity reorganizes, your frequency snaps into a completely new state, and the field responds instantly. It's not mystical, it's mechanics. This is why people who make sudden internal decisions experience quantum leaps in their external reality. The reality didn't take time to shift. The identity changed fast enough to allow reality to catch up immediately. But here's the part almost no one understands clearly. The universe sees you as you are right now, not as you intend to be someday. You can say, I want abundance. But if your identity still says, I'm the one who always loses everything, the field will match the identity, not your words. You can say, I'm ready for love now. But if your identity is still shaped by betrayal or self-protection mechanisms, the field will match the identity. You can say, I want a completely new life. But if your identity still broadcasts fear, guilt, old stories, or familiar emotional patterns, the field will match the identity every single time. You're not manifesting your desires, you're manifesting your self-perception. And here's the paradox that makes this so powerful. Your desires are actually the instructions from your future self, showing you what's possible. But your identity is the frequency that determines whether those instructions can actually materialize in your reality. The universe is never withholding anything from you. It simply cannot violate vibrational law. You wouldn't expect a radio to pick up a station it's not tuned to, right? And yet most people expect the universe to deliver a reality they haven't tuned their identity to match. Identity is the tuning mechanism. Alignment is the signal. Reality is the response. So before we go further, I want to invite you into something powerful. If this message is landing for you, if you're recognizing yourself in these words, hit subscribe and click that bell icon right next to it. Also, join our manifestation club on gogetter.au. This isn't just a channel, this is a frequency. If you felt even a slight shift while watching, you're already tuned in. Join the movement, become part of a global space where we explore conscious creation, quantum alignment, and embodied manifestation together. Let's keep raising the energy and growing as a community. Now, this is why the inner work you've been doing lately feels heavier, deeper, more sensitive than usual. You're dismantling identity fragments that could distort your signal moving forward. Old emotional footprints, old survival strategies, old self-concepts, old bonds to timelines that are complete, old labels about who you had to be to stay safe, loved, accepted, or stable. You're not just healing old wounds, you're reorganizing the frequency the universe uses to match you. And you can see the evidence of this restructuring through every glitch that's happening in your life right now. The things that used to trigger you are losing their power. The people who used to drain you feel more distant, less magnetic. The roles you used to play feel completely unnatural now. The behaviors that once defined you feel foreign. The emotional weight you carried for years feels looser, lighter, almost transparent. This isn't confusion, it's detachment. When identity starts to shift fundamentally, the old emotional gravity weakens naturally. You stop being pulled toward what once felt familiar. You stop feeling responsible for patterns that once shaped your entire life. You stop identifying with the storylines that once held you together. And without that gravity anchoring you to the past, your frequency rises naturally. Your intuition gets louder. Your boundaries get sharper without effort. Your vision becomes clearer about what you actually want. Your desires shift into alignment with who you're becoming. Your opportunities literally change form. Your reality begins reassigning itself around your new signal automatically. And here's something profound to understand. You don't have to force high-frequency opportunities to show up in your life. You just have to stop broadcasting the identity that repels them. Once you stop identifying yourself through your wounds, you stop manifesting timelines built around those wounds. Once you stop identifying through scarcity, you stop attracting experiences that reinforce scarcity. Once you stop identifying through fear, you stop creating realities that mirror that fear back to you. Identity is the mechanism. Matching is the manifestation. Your reality is not testing your strength or your patience. It's reflecting your frequency. It's organizing itself around who you are being in this exact moment. So the question isn't, why is this happening to me? The real question is, who is the universe matching at this exact moment? The self I'm releasing or the self I'm becoming? Because one of them is fading naturally, and the other has already started shaping your next timeline. There comes a moment in every real transformation where manifestation stops being about techniques, methods, or doing everything right. It becomes something far more intimate and far more decisive. It becomes about who you choose to be when no one is watching. Not who you are when you're journaling about your dreams, not who you are during meditation or spiritual practice, not who you are when you're feeling inspired, aligned, or powerful, but who you are in the quiet moments. The moments when you fall back into old thoughts, old fears, old assumptions, or old versions of yourself without even realizing it. This is the true quantum choice point. It isn't the moment you decide to change your life. It's the moment you stop behaving as the self that no longer fits, and you begin responding to life as the self your future already recognizes. From here on, the universe is not testing you, it's adjusting to you. Everything in your external life rearranges itself according to the identity you stabilize within. The way you talk to yourself internally, the way you interpret your emotions when they arise, the way you respond to opportunities when they appear, the way you move when instinct pulls you forward. All of it becomes a vote for the version of you the universe should match. When you act from your old identity, the field aligns with that old signal. When you act from your new identity, the field shifts instantly to match it. There's no morality in this system, no punishment, no reward, only resonance. What makes this moment in your life so incredibly powerful is not the magnitude of the choices you're making externally, it's the frequency behind them internally. A small decision made from a new identity has quantum consequences. Changing jobs doesn't change your life by itself. Becoming the version of you who genuinely embodying the version of you who no longer trades peace for attachment does. Starting a new path doesn't shift your timeline. Stepping into the version of you who trusts your inner vision without begging for external validation does. Every single day, the universe asks one silent question. Which version of you am I matching today? And with every thought you nurture, every pattern you repeat or break, every instinct you honor or ignore, you give your answer. Reality then reorganizes itself around that version of you with absolute precision. That's why you've been noticing certain opportunities appearing right after you shift something internally. The conversation that arrives immediately after you finally set a boundary. The perfect timing that aligns the exact moment you let go of something draining. The synchronicity that shows up right after you choose self-respect over people-pleasing. These aren't coincidences. They're vibrational corrections. The field responds to who you're being, not who you hope to be someday. This is why you're standing in a threshold right now. You can continue interpreting everything as a test, thinking you must prove yourself, endure more, survive more, or earn your blessings through endless struggle. Or you can finally admit the truth. You're not in a season of being tested. You're in a season of being mirrored. Life is reflecting the precise identity you've been carrying. And every shift you make internally changes the reflection instantly. The old you needed hardship to feel worthy. The old you waited for absolute proof before trusting anything. The old you hesitated at every single instinctive pull. The old you expected disappointment to follow every moment of peace. But that version of you is dissolving now. You can feel it. You can't go back to it, even if you tried. Even if part of you wanted to, you've outgrown the emotional gravity that held you in those old cycles. You've tasted enough peace to know that chaos isn't your native frequency. You've glimpsed your higher self often enough that pretending to be the old you feels almost impossible now. That's how you know you've already crossed the internal point of no return. The new identity is here, but it needs to be stabilized. It needs structure. It needs coherence. It needs practice. Not because you're broken or incomplete, but because you're becoming someone your old patterns were never designed to support. The universe is not waiting for you to earn your next level through suffering. It's waiting for you to hold the identity that matches it consistently. And sustaining this identity, the one your future is already built around, requires more than inspiration or motivation. It requires daily internal alignment, clear emotional architecture, coherent energetic practices, and a grounded way to anchor your new self into your nervous system. Without structure, the new frequency expands temporarily, but eventually dissipates back into old patterns. With structure, it becomes your new baseline, your new normal. That's why if you felt something shift inside you while listening to this message, if something in your chest, your gut, or your intuition recognized itself in these words, it's not a coincidence. It's timing. It's alignment. It's your next timeline brushing against your awareness right now and asking for a deeper yes. If you feel that pull, honor it. Everything you need to close this year with absolute clarity and step into 2026 as your most aligned self is inside the Quantum Rebirth Transformation Guide. This is the ebook I designed specifically to help you release what no longer serves you, reset your frequency completely, and activate the identity that's been quietly waiting to emerge. If this video stirred something real in you, the book is your next step. You'll find the link waiting in the pinned comment below. If your instinct nudges you toward it, trust that. It's not urgency when it's alignment. It's not fear. It's your higher timeline reaching out to you right now. And listen, if this message resonated with you at all, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Maybe it's someone who keeps saying they feel stuck. Maybe it's someone who's been waiting for a sign. For you, it might just be sharing a link. But for them, it could be the exact message that shifts everything. By sharing, you're spreading this frequency further, and that positive energy will absolutely come back to support what you're manifesting right now. Be the friend who shares breakthroughs, not just content. Trust your instinct. Your future self isn't calling for dramatic action, it's calling for alignment. And that alignment is already within your reach.